I traveled through the 7 levels of the candy cane forest, past the sea of swirly, twirly gumdrops. Then I walked through the Lincoln.
There once were these 3 brave young sprite men. They were a bunch of turkeys, if you ask me. They wandered into our village with the greatest stories. Here they are. It's gonna be great. Like and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm Daniel. This is probably like the most malnourished werewolf I've ever seen. Who's ever seen Joe Biden at midnight?
And Blue, you still got that rash or what?
Sam's gonna buy the large tower, bro. For like $15. If it's 3 people, you know, downtown.
No sausage here. It's Hyman.
It was that age where, like, you have responsibilities, but not as much, and you can have a lot of fun too. So then again, she also looks like that girl from that movie Chappie. I cannot volunteer another time. Those anal glands can wait.
Yeah, not tonight. They're not waiting. Hyman's not here, but you get myself and Big Blue. How's it going, Big Blue? How you doing tonight?
Good. I'm off tonight, so I finally get to rest tonight.
Nice, dude. Nice. You gonna get kind of crazy or what?
I'll get a drink here in a little bit. I'll finish it up with a soda I've been drinking. I don't want to mix it with whiskey yet.
Well, let me know, dude. I'll join you in the craziness. You know, there's this like flashing light up in the corner that was just brought to my attention. I think it's gonna give some people some I don't know, it's gonna hypnotize people or something. So let's change that real quick. There it is. And for that, I want to get some likes, I want to get some comments and some subscriptions going up. Let's get those things going up, guys. I appreciate everybody here. Well, yes, last time we were here on Monday, you left early, me, myself, and Jaime, we couldn't finish the show. There was still, we wanted to do this in 2 parts. And, well, I felt that we didn't do a real fair representation of the first part. We were kind of underprepared. So I kind of want to start, not completely over, but let's start over. And there's some new stuff that I may have seen in this process. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about Leave the World Behind. It's a movie out on Netflix right now. It's about a possible end of the world or end of America situation through cyber attacks. Now, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, I advise you that, you know, if you want to know what you want to watch the movie without us spoiling anything, hit that like, comment, subscribe, and then go watch the movie. All right. Yeah. You ready for this, Blue?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So, like I said, we're going to kind of talk about a lot of stuff that we may have mentioned already, but it's going to go a little quick. Hey, put it on custom layout 4 for me, Blue. It's stuck on me.
What do you want me to do?
There you go. Right. Yeah, you already did it. Never mind. I already did it on myself. So here are the characters again for those that didn't catch the first episode. Just kind of a little bit of a rundown. You know, from left to right, you have George. He's the owner of the Airbnb. His daughter is next to him, Ruth. And then you have, that was Amanda, right?
Yeah, it's Amanda.
I always I end up calling her Julia Roberts a couple of times, but it's Amanda. And then you got Clay. Them two are a husband and wife. They have a son and daughter that are also staying with them as well at this Airbnb. Like we said last time, a couple of things that you want to pay attention to is the background, the scenery. I think there's a lot of hidden messages in this movie. And I think I've kind of I think I figured out what they're trying to say in this movie. I think I understand what the message is. We'll go through it, but check out the painting there. Throughout this movie, you'll see that the painting and that it'll change. You know, as the movie, goes on through the different scenes, there's 5 different parts. You'll see this painting change. Did you notice the first time you were watching it, Blue, that the painting was changing?
No, I just thought it was different rooms.
I noticed it. So it takes place in New York. I mentioned last time you had some cracks in the wall, which told me that there was some foundation issues. Right? We had a 76 mug here on the left. It says 6:30, I believe, there on the clock there. You have a 6 over here with the 30 covered with a cup. So you do have 3 6s on the screen. Take that for what you will. One light on, one light off. And in this scene, his wife, Amanda here, is telling him basically that she woke up that morning, decided to get an Airbnb because she hates people.
Thank you, Canadian True Crime. You get the 5 Drunk Turkey memberships. Remember, guys, turn on your gifts on your account so you can get the membership for free.
100%, 100%. So you have the little girl here. Her name is Rose. She loves this movie or this Friends, and she's on the last episode, the season finale. And this is when everything starts to go crazy, right? And she notices that the internet isn't working. This is the Airbnb house. And this is where you get that first painting while they're looking at the home. There's 4 like spikes here. Do you think that those 4 spikes are an interpretation of the family?
That does. I mean, there is 4 mountains, and it's 4 of them. So maybe.
And if you notice, like, you have one on the left. It's kind of hollowish a little bit. Like, you see some blackish areas where it looks kind of hollow. The other one, the middle one, is pretty solid. And then you have smaller ones. I would think that this one would be a representation of the husband. We spoke last time that we thought that the husband was a little bit of a pushover almost.
Yeah.
And that his wife definitely was the person that wore the pants in this relationship. And I think that's who is representing the middle one that is more solid and bold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's more bolder and outspoken.
I didn't see any. This is just them walking through the house. The Wi-Fi password is a novella, which apparently has something to do with cyber technology, which is an indication of what's going to end up being one of the main problems in this movie is that America is under attack, cyber attack. So here, they head to the beach, right? And they exit 76 to Point Comfort, and they're on the beach, and this ship starts heading towards them called the White Lion. Now, what I found out about this was, where'd it go? Oh man, I didn't open it. Give me a second. Okay. I thought I had this all planned out right. I have it, but
yeah. I mean, when I first saw the movie, I didn't even catch the name. I saw the ship. I didn't pay attention to the name of it.
Oh, I did, man. I looked right at it and I was like, there's something to this. So this is from the history.com. In August 20 of the 1619. Remember 1619. Remember those numbers. 20 and odd Angloans kidnapped by Portuguese arrived in the British colony of Virginia and are then brought by English colonists. The arrival of the enslaved Africans into the New World marks the beginning of 2.5 centuries of slavery in North America. Founded in Jamestown in 1607, the Virginia colony was home to about 700 people by 1619. The first enslaved Africans to arrive Virginia disembarked at Point Comfort. So the whole 76 thing, I think that's, a reference to when, America gained its independence, 1776, the whole 9 yards, right? So the ship that arrived, hold on, let me see, was called the White Lion. Let me see. Let me find where it says that name real quick. I just want to make sure. Right here. It was the White Lion, and there was 2 Africans who arrived on board of the White Lion. Antonio and Isabella became servants of Captain William Tucker, commander of Point Comfort. Their son William is first known African child to have been born in America, and under law of the time, he was born a free man. In coming decades, however, slavery became solidified. So they came on that boat that they arrived on in 1619 at Point Comfort was the White Lion. Do you think that that's a coincidence, Big Blue?
No, it has to have a meaning for sure. Not it's a really weird coincidence.
Nah, it's no coincidence, my man. No coincidence whatsoever. So when they get back home, they start seeing some deer. Oh boy tries to hook up with the girl says that his wife says that she wants to go and do something fun. She's going to go out to the market and get some alcohol or whatever. And he said, something to the effect like, when we get back, I know something fun we can do. And she just kind of walks away. Like, yeah, nah, not really. And
yeah. She wasn't interested in his chocolates he was selling.
Right. And I later on in the movie, we'll talk about it, which tells me that there might be some problems here already. Right. So this is where she goes. She goes to Point Comfort Marketplace. Notice that the restaurant the store is blue. Big Blue would love this place.
Yep. And the car's blue too.
Car is blue. Even the car. Wait a minute. Is that the car that they show up in? Ruth and her dad George. That looks like the car that they show up in. We'll see. So here is Kevin Bacon. This is the first time he comes out. His name is Danny. He's wearing a Cowboys baseball hat, a brown Carhartt type jacket, some jeans, 4x4 truck. But on the back corner here, you have something called E-Kit, which is an Easter egg to the show Mr. Robot from USA a couple of years back that aired. It's about some hackers as well. And in that series, there was a corporation called E-Corp or Evil Corp. And this was their insignia on everything pretty much. So this kind of says that they're together in the same universe, and there's a lot more Easter eggs to come that kind of puts them together. And then I want you guys to hear something as well that I have pulled from Mr. Robot. And this is also a book from the Mr. Robot series. I think this is a fictional book from that series, so it's not a real book. And this is in her car, another indication that they are in the same universe. Now, this is when they're playing Jenga. And we mentioned it last time, Blue, but what do you think it means? Do you follow what I'm saying, or do you think it means something different?
I think to me it's just a coincidence that they're playing the game of Jenga. I get where you're coming from, but I think it's just Jenga at this point because there's no 2 towers, just one.
Well, the attack is only on one. It's in the entire country. It's only one attack, so to speak. The Twin Towers was 2 attacks. But to me, what I saw, as soon as I saw this, the second I saw this, it immediately put me to this painting here. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. This painting here. Now, in this painting, for those that don't know, well, Blue, do you know where this painting was located at?
Yeah, it was in Epstein's premises.
Yep, it was in Epstein's Island at his home there. And hold on one second. So it's on Epstein's Island. Epstein was a powerful guy that was a billionaire that, in my opinion, compromised a lot of powerful people and was able to gain a lot of money, power, and freedom, because I think using that by compromising those people in power. And I mean, this is interesting. And what he's doing is he has 2 paper airplanes, and there's 2 Jenga towers. To me, this indicates that United States or George Bush here had some sort of either he allowed the 9/11 attacks to occur or was a part of it. I think that's what the symbolization is here. And when I went back and watched the pilot for Mr. Robot, I was surprised when so in the movie he or in the show he has a love interest. It's his friend. He's interested in this girl, and that girl has a boyfriend. And what he does is he goes back and he hacks people and he searches their history and their online stuff. And they brought up that the person that his love interest was dating at the time was a supporter of George Bush. And I was like, they talk about George Bush in the pilot episode, and you have Jenga towers here, and your Jenga towers there. This wasn't the only painting. This is another painting that was on Epstein's Island. And like I said last time, if you guys really want to follow a really crazy conspiracy theory, go look up the red shoes theory. It's insane. But this is what starts part 2, which is called The Curve. And that's when the owners of the Airbnb, George and Ruth, arrive. Now you have this scene right here where you have the Caucasian folks inside where it's lit up, and the African American folks outside where it's dark. Do you think that was purposely done like that, Big Blue?
I mean, I think that it does have a little bit of a meaning to the photo. But like I said, this movie has a lot of twists and turns and meanings that I don't catch them on the first time. So maybe on the second time I can see them.
Yeah. I think it's there, man. I think it's purposefully there. There's some racial undertones there on both sides. There's the well, let's go through it. Yeah, he basically tells them that there was a blackout and back in the city, and he lives on the 14th floor. Can't climb up there because he got a bum knee, and that this is their house. They lived here, so they wanted to come home because they knew that there was power here too. So they end up coming inside. She's skeptical of the entire thing, right? She doesn't think that they are who they think they are, and it kind of the movie kind of makes it feel or make you think that the reason why she doesn't think that these folks are the owners of the home is because of the color of their skin. Did you pick up on that, Big Blue?
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Is this your home? The way she said it, I can't remember the tone she used. But it was a little bit more biased to because of this color of their skin, that it's not their house.
Right. And then even in this situation, and this is what we brought up last time, where, she says, I don't feel comfortable living in a house with, and she pauses, and then she goes, with strangers. But during that pause, you have this look behind her of, from her husband. Like, he's like, whoa, what are you about to say? Right. And, that tells me that maybe perhaps he was expecting her to say something like that, or he's heard her say things like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's used to it, but he was afraid of her actually coming out and saying what she really wanted to say.
Yeah. And look at where he's at. He's sitting behind her. He's sitting down. These are strangers. You know what I mean? Very much the not the I guess the man in the relationship. And not to mention, and I'll go back here, his T-shirt. It's Bikini Kill, which is a feminist punk band, and I believe their first single was like called "Pussy Whooped." So, is what it is. Amanda asks him for his ID. He says that he left his wallet in his coat pocket. Then he left when he checked at the symphony. And then you have this come up, right? And this is a national alert. They go and they check it. And it just says that there's a national alert and that the broadcast system is going to end during this broadcast. And then while they're there, the Jenga towers fall on their own by themselves. You know, I started to think, you know, at this point is when I started to think, I think that there might be something that's going to be imploding here, that this might be America's doing, so to speak. Yeah, she's definitely the alpha. That's for sure. And then this map pops up. Right. And this is while everybody's gone. The two, Amanda and Clay, go upstairs to go talk whether or not, you know, they're okay with having Ruth and George stay, and they decide that it's okay, and they end up going to bed. They go upstairs. Ruth and her dad George go downstairs to the basement, and while nobody's around, this is what pops up on the TV. But as we talked last time, Blue, and I think you were still here when we talked about it, there's a QR code right here. Right? QR code. Well, watch this. When you click on that QR code, where'd it go? There it is. It takes you to this website right here. It says visit Mercer County, things to do, lodging. This is an actual website. It's not fake. And it's about Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park. It's a real amusement park out there in West Virginia area. There's something unnatural about the Mercer County attraction, the Native American burial ground, violent deaths, freak accidents, and who knew a simple amusement park could have such a dark past? Explore this creepy, maybe cursed land, one of the world's most haunted places. Arrange a private tour, join the paranormal investigators to ghost hunt or brave the dark carnival in October. If you like Lake Shawnee and Abandoned Amusement Park, you'll love these places too. But this is where it gets interesting, right? So here's the story. Lake Shawnee Amusement Park was crippled long before local entrepreneur colony Snido broke ground for the circular swing. At least this is what the most locals think. Ask anyone familiar with the area, and they'll tell you no one should have turned the grassy field into a carnival. Most things seem obvious in retrospect. When Snido purchased the property during the 1920s, he had no idea it had witnessed decades of bloody unrest. And guess what? There is an incident. And you know what the incident is called, Big Blue? It's called the Clay incident.
Oh, man.
What's the name of Ethan Hawke's character is named Clay?
It's Clay. Yes, sir.
So Lake Shawnee restless past originates in the 18th century. During the 1700s, Mitchell Clay brought his young family out west. They established an 800-acre farm and raised 14 children. Tragedy struck the Clays in 1783. A Native American tribe slew 2 of the children while Mitchell was out hunting. They kidnapped one of the boys, Ezekiel, only to burn him at the stake. Clay retaliated with the help of other settlers. They tracked down several Native Americans and killed them. The sacred homestead was never the same. The Clay property didn't attract much notice until the 1920s when the Sino appeared with his rides and attractions, circular swings, water slide, etc. At some point, things started to go wrong. Little girl died on the swing. A boy drowned in the pond. 6 visitors had died during the amusement park's brief history.
Man, they're almost just as bad as Disney.
Check it out. After 20 years, another businessman approached the Lake Shawnee, Gaylord White. The sleepy meadows seemed ideal for future neighborhoods, but as construction grew, tore into the grass and soil, they unearthed bones and Native American artifacts. It turned out that the amusement park sat on top of an ancient burial ground, and most of the skeletons belonged to children. Archaeologists believe that the remains had been there long before settlers moved to the west. And then it says, was Clay's family also cursed? What do you think about this story, and why do you think this is in this movie?
That part I don't know. I think maybe um, it's going to be released in part 2, maybe, if there is a
Maybe.
part 2. You know,
Maybe.
I think maybe it'll go back to where Clay's from. I don't know.
Maybe. It's possible. So this is Ruth and her father George. They go down to the basement, and this is them talking. We need to get them out of here. And he goes, "We're not going to do that by scaring them. They need to think everything's going to be okay." And she ends up saying everything is going to be okay. And his response is, and then she asks, "Your client didn't tell you anything else, did he?" "Oh, I had it out of order. And everything is going to be okay." And basically what that means to me, or what that says, is that he knows something, right? She doesn't know everything that he knows, but he knows something about what's going on to a certain extent. And one of the things that he also talked about, and I forgot to mention, is that he studies the market and can read the curve and read when things are happening. And he said that he was seeing some things that were leading up to what he thought something was going to happen, but he never mentions what it is. He's like, "I was seeing this happening. It was happening, but it didn't dawn on him that it was something to this magnitude." So it cuts up to the next day or whatnot. And this is something that I had wanted to point out. This is in this image here, you have the Braves versus the Nationals, and you have the Braves doing their chopping symbol, which has been a huge controversy as far as it being prejudiced towards Native Americans. And then you go into part 3, the noise. So this is where we basically finished off last time. I know I talked a little bit about, the flyers and stuff. That was actually kind of out of order, but I pulled it all back in. Up to this point, Blue, what are you thinking about everything now that we've kind of explained it all? Do you think that maybe perhaps everything that is in, or everything that's in the scene is definitely calculated and put there on purpose?
Oh yeah, I think everything that has the part of this movie where it's working up to the suspenseful part, it was little clues and narratives that something is coming up and something worse is going to happen.
Yeah. So boom, next morning, little girl Rose, she wakes up her mom to tell her that Friends isn't working still, and she has to see what's going on with that. What does that tell you, Blue?
That the internet's still out, and that the other, that they weren't lying, that there was a blackout.
Well, I mean, yeah, but to me, that tells me like there's some serious stuff going on, and all they care about is their luxuries, right? Now, her parents shield her, and her son too. Like when they're talking about things, they're like, "We don't want to tell the kids. This, not about them. This is about us. Let's figure this out. We don't want to scare them for no reason." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so she obsessed with technology. Yep. So she basically shoos her off, and she wakes up and sees a bunch of these alerts on her phone. The last one, I'm kind of curious as to what that says, because it looks like it's written in it's not in one language, obviously. But like, for instance, isn't typically the letter A? I don't know where the cent would be from.
First of all, I gotta say that's typically how the Washington Post writes, anyways. Bunch of gibberish. Those bastards.
I love it. I love it. That's true. Bunch of gibberish. So major blackouts reported on the East Coast of the United States. East Coast of the United States reports power failure. Hackers behind power outage. Right. And then you have this random stuff. Now look at the water there on this page here. I'm not sure if I had brought it up before. I think I have it next, actually, right here. This is what the water level was when they first got there on the wall. You can see it's barely above the top of the bed frame here, below this lamp, and then the next day they wake up, this is well above the lamp. Waters are rising. What do you think that means? Water's rising, temperature rising, heat rising. What do you think water rising means in this movie?
I think it just means the trouble's rising. And for those that didn't get that little joke about the gibberish, we were mentioned on the Washington Post last year, so just a little reason why.
Yeah, Blue Wave. I didn't think about that one. But yeah, waters are going to be rising as more, in my opinion, things are going more chaotic in this movie at this time. So little girl goes outside and she starts seeing a bunch of deer, a whole lot of deer. You can kind of see how many are back there. I think I see Bigfoot. So
that's where Hyman's excreting the anal glands. That's where he's at.
That's what they're waiting in line for Hyman.
Yeah.
Well, if you walked outside, Blue, and you saw this in your backyard, let's just say this was your backyard. One, that would be a dope ass backyard. But two, let's just say this was your backyard, and you walked out and you saw 50-some deer like this. What's your thought?
Where's my rifle?
Where's my rifle? Oh man, you going back inside, or you gonna stay out there and just kind of see what they're gonna do?
I'm gonna see what they're staring at and throwing some apples or something.
It looks like they're staring at the person looking at them.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I would go talk to the chief.
Yeah. So at this point, Ruth comes upstairs and she's talking with Amanda, and she starts telling her about. Amanda tells her about the alerts that she had on her phone, and Ruth tells her that there was a blackout that had occurred about hackers being behind it back a couple of years back. And that ended up being part of that Mr. Robot show, which is also produced by the same producer of this movie, right? And she continually asks about power plants. And the reason why she's asking about power plants, or I'm assuming, is because, well, I think that this little girl here is involved in the hacking. I think she might be a little bit of a hacker. If there is a part 2, I think we're going to find that out. Now, I don't know if she's like involved with this hacking per se, but I think she knows some things. Remember, the Wi-Fi password was for some sort of like cyber security thing, right? So, power plants.
I tapped it again.
So this is what she's talking. So this is what she's talking about. She goes, "You remember that thing that happened in New Jersey a few years back?" And this is when George comes in and he asks, "Where's Clay?" And Amanda says he went to the store to get newspaper and asked people if they knew anything. And he says, "Smart, I'm going to go over to our neighbor's house, the Huxleys." And then this is when Amanda basically tells him about, Ruth tells George to tell, or Amanda to tell George about the news alerts that she got referencing the hacking. And he says he thinks it's nothing, that is probably that love you bug where people were getting an email, and once you opened up the email, it would go to all your contacts, and ended up being a couple of guys in the Philippines, right? Nothing big. So he's kind of playing it down. She ends up going outside, Amanda, that is, with her kids, and they end up. George and his daughter Ruth go up to the window, and she talks about her mom. This is the first time we find out about her mom. Her mom is apparently out in a somewhere else. She was supposed to be flying in that day,
Yeah, she
right?
was
That
out
morning.
meetings in, I want to say somewhere like Turkish or in Istanbul or something like that.
Yeah. And she was supposed to be flying in and landing on this day. And he asked, have you heard about her, this, that, and the third? And he's just saying that, she's probably, cussing somebody out, this, that, and the third. So outside you have, this is Archie and Rose again. These are the Clay and Amanda's kids. All right. Later on, Ruth goes outside and Clay starts taking some pictures for later.
Archie.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Archie takes pictures for later. All right, while they're swimming. And after they're swimming or whatever, Rose and Archie decide to go off, right? They said that they found a shed. And they go inside the shed. They start looking around. And Archie starts to scare his sister by saying that somebody was staying in that shed, and there's an impression here in the leaves. Right. And then he tells Rose that whoever was staying in the shed out the window can see into her bedroom window. So he's basically telling her that that's where he thought that George was hiding at the night before watching.
Yeah. But see, the thing that caught my eye in this scene was his shirt. The shirt says "obey," And I know that shirt has a meaning. I just don't remember what it was.
Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get to that. So they end up leaving, right? And Archie ends up getting bit by some sort of insect, probably a tick. And while he's looking around, Rose sees this deer. Now she's the one that saw the deer earlier, the 50 amount of deer. And the deer takes off, and she tells him, should we go over here? Right now, remember this house, there's a red door on it, so it's pretty easy to remember. Everything else has blue. But she says, should we go over there? And he says, no, we got to go back. And as they're walking back, there's this loud noise. And everybody falls to the ground. It's heard everywhere. Right? And afterwards, they started ringing. And then at this point, this is when Archie and Rose find their mom in the woods. Now, this is where people are talking about this shirt. You have Obey, and then you have NASA. What do you think about that, Blue?
Yeah, I mean, NASA's not really in the picture no more. It's Elon now, so it would have been Obey Elon, then it would have been different. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I think that it is a there's that. So there's a lot of theories about NASA. It's a TOA of, you can move the words around and they'll spell Satan. Something about the red thing has something to do with demonicness. I'm not sure, but that's the theory there. Now, meantime, oh boy, George, he's going to the Huxleys, and we'll get to the Huxleys part. All right. And when he gets there, he's messaging his wife. This was yesterday at 10:30. Are you getting these? Just tried to, but not going through. Are you at the airport yet? Is AT200 the right flight number? It's not showing up. We're headed to Long Island. Call when you can. Now, yesterday I told everybody that I thought that this movie was had to do with one world order, world without borders. That's what I brought up on Monday. So I go do a little bit of digging into who the Huxleys are and why they're in this movie. And I come around here, Brave New World, which I've seen a lot of you guys talking about that in the comment section right now. But A Brave New World, which is by Aldous Huxley. The novel examines a futuristic society called the World State that revolves around science and efficiency. In this society, emotions and individuality are conditioned out of our children at a young age. And there are no lasting relationships because everyone belongs to everyone else. A common world state dictum. Huxley begins the novel by thoroughly examining the scientific and compartmentalized nature of this society. Kind of like extreme communism, in my opinion, as well. Marksmanship. Um, some of the things that they're saying, like conditioning children at a young age to not have emotions. I said that I felt like this was an attack by America on America. One of the things that happened, or one of the conspiracy theories out there when it comes to JFK, was that he was approached by the CIA and they wanted to attack a U.S. Cruise ship with American citizens on it and make it look like that it was an attack from Cuba so that the United States could go to war with Cuba. Then you have, the references to Mr. Robot, which we're going to get to a little bit later as well, or more into a little bit later. But you have those references. And when I go to the first episode, the pilot episode of that movie or that series, they're talking about George W. Bush. And you have some Jenga towers, and you have a pretty famous painting in a very, horrible person's house of George Bush playing with Jenga towers. The schoolroom Bush was in when 9/11 happened was in Florida. So, I don't know, man. Do you think that if this is true, right? Let's just say that, and I'm saying that nothing is put in here on accident, right? If this was that connection, that it's one world state, America can attack itself. I mean, it talks about the Jenga towers. I don't know, man. Well, it doesn't talk, but to me, it does. I'm seeing a connection there. Do you see a connection now? Are you starting to see the connection to everything?
A little bit. I mean, even if you go out of this mindset, I've been watching the series Twisted Metal, and it also plays in this kind of future where America turned on itself, and it's the world. It's a coincidence that all the new. There's not zombie movies coming out right now, or Dracula, or werewolf. It's we're getting cyber attacked and we're turning on each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty weird coincidence that's all that's coming out lately.
Yeah, well, maybe, but I think that, and here's the weird thing. This was produced by former President Barack Obama. Does that make you feel at least a little bit uneasy at all, knowing these connections? And so far, they're talking about some, in my opinion, it's referencing some pretty out there, not out there theories in the reference that it's out there, it's not believable. I'm talking about theories that are out there, common theories that are out there, that have been coming up. Does that make you feel at least uneasy?
A little bit, because when I've heard, through the, some of the TikToks that I watch, the conspiracy theories and Reddits and stuff like that I read sometimes, that the Obamas, when they're writing this, they had a nice, packet of information that they were sending to the writer and the director, to work that stuff into this movie. It's pretty crazy, man.
Oh yeah, dude.
Who knows if it's true or not? But hey, they had more insight, and they have more, information that we'd ever get. It's like the Clintons.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right, man. And the Bushes. But look this. So this is the exterior of the Huxley's house. What is that? I never noticed there's some shit on the roof. You got some things up there on the roof, right? He walks in, everything's blue again, and there's water on the ground. What do you think about the blue constantly coming out in this movie?
It's brainwashing you, man. Brainwashing.
Yeah, it could be. There's a hole in the window there. And here's a picture of, I'm assuming, the Huxels. White family. Can't really make out much here. Pictures on the beach, it looks like. So he goes out into the garage. He finds a satellite phone. It's not working. And then he starts going back to the beach, and he notices a bunch of people dead.
I like when he notices a watch, and he goes and grabs the watch, and there's a hand connected to it.
Yeah. You see this person here.
See, she wore her seatbelt, and she's safe, guys.
Look at that.
The seatbelt's going to save you when a plane crashes.
You got some dead dude there.
His clothes burnt. Well, nobody else's clothes burnt.
I gotta turn this right side up. This is that was the other thing about this movie. It had some like weird settings, or it had some weird angles. It made me dizzy. Do you see AT-200 on the tail fin here somewhere? I don't.
Blue does represent sadness, and the color scheme. That looks like the cup you get at my doctor's office. When I give you medicine, the Dixie cups.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's another body right there on the ground. Another body right here. That's insane. And then he notices a plane coming right at him, falling out of the sky. Why do you think that's happening, Blue? I mean, I understand, your navigation's out and all this other stuff, but how is it making planes fall out of the sky?
That's where it was a little far-fetched to me, okay? I mean, okay, if the cyber attack is happening and it's turning off your navigation right when you, I guess, get to a border of the United States, right, and these planes are crashing, pilots, the motors turn off. Pilots should be able to, pilot the plane for a crash landing without some assistance of motors. It'd be hard as hell. But these just go straight into the ground.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did also. Well, we'll get to that part. I don't want to get too far ahead.
A hacker ain't gonna. I mean, unless a hacker took control of the plane and just nosedived it down, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Well, there was that. Remember, there was that issue with the Boeings, the airplanes that were diving. They grounded a bunch of them, and then they I think at one point they even suspected that Malaysia airplane may have been, one of the airplanes that was having these recalls because something was making them dive down. They were diving on their own.
But to be aiming to the same, to be aiming to the same area, somebody must be either controlling the plane there, but it's like weird how the pilot can't turn everything off and just auto steer it. But I'm not a pilot. I don't know how those work. So
yeah, it's interesting. What do you think about his strategy to run straight?
I mean, you got to run away from something.
Shit, but don't you run to the side? I mean, you're gonna run. It's coming at you. Like run to the right or the left. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought it was a weird strategy, man. So while that's happening, this is happening over here, right? So we're backing up. This is when
Clay
is going out. He's trying to find the store. He gets lost, right? He pulls over, and first thing we find here is Tanny Farms. Tanny Farms. Does that mean anything to you, Big Blue?
Not to me. I don't recognize it. Sounds like candy.
Oh, it's not. It's I think it's referring to Roger B. Taney. So Roger Taney was an American lawyer and politician who served as the 5th Chief Justice of the United States, holding that office from 1836 until his death in 1864. Taney infamously delivered the majority opinion in Dred Scott v. Stanford in 1857, ruling that African Americans could not be considered U.S. citizens and that Congress could not prohibit slavery in the U.S. territories prior to joining the U.S. Supreme Court. Taney served as the U.S. Attorney General and the U.S. Secretary of Treasury under President Andrew Jackson. He was the first Catholic to serve on the Supreme Court. He also he was a slave-owning family, born into a wealthy slave-owning family in Maryland. Do you think that there's a tie to this guy?
Pretty sure there is. Yes,
I think so too. You know, there's a pattern, right? Like everything seems to be kind of. I mean, you have the Braves game with the controversial chop. You have the White Lion beach. You have Tanny Farms. You have the Huxels. And that was something different, but I think that's a indication of where things are going in this movie.
Yeah. So you see, like, there's a right or left to everything, man. They want the Braves chant to get changed, just like they had the Washington Commanders change their name from the Redskins, and now there's somebody saying, "Hey, that's I wanted to go back to the Redskins," and he's fighting in the courts to get it changed back.
Yeah,
there's always going to be a right or left to something and to everything. That you're going to make one side happy, but you're going to upset the other side. And then there's going to be just back and forth for. It's already there. It's been there for years. They haven't changed it. Why change it?
Yeah. And then you have this radio station, 1619. And that the year we just talked about on that White Lion ship?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, dude, everything in this movie was purposely placed there. There's probably things that I missed that I didn't catch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I went through a lot of it. So this, while he's outside checking for his phone, message finally comes through on 1619 saying that the fallout from the ongoing cyber attack has led to a catastrophic environmental disaster in the South that has led that is impacting animal migration patterns. All right, so that's why we're seeing those deer and stuff, right?
Yeah, the deer and then the flamingos land in their pool.
And then we have, him running into a lady that only speaks Spanish. Now, we had Hyman translate everything last time. And basically what he had said that she said was that she was scared, that she had seen a plane dropping red gas. 50 deer were coming at her, and she hadn't seen anybody all day, and that she's real scared. And he ends up taking off because he can't understand her. Right? And he leaves her there, and she's just like, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me.
She's like this, ayúdame, por favor. Viene un avión que viene tirando cosas rojas. Yeah. So that's how she was.
Wait a minute. Do that again, Blue? That's cute.
You only get one. And scene.
One take. Blue, you could have played this lady's husband. I think that's what we got to get you on the silver screen, my man. We got to get you on the silver screen. So he takes off, and then he sees a drone with pouring some red stuff. Right now, I zoomed in on this. That's a little drone. That's not a drone that's going to be flying from, China or Japan or Iraq or Pakistan or anywhere else like that. Russia. Yeah. That's coming from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not a big, the drones that we use when we fly to other countries.
Not to mention they're stacked holding a bunch of papers. You know what I mean? That's going to be heavy. I mean, one paper ain't heavy, but when you have that many papers in it, that's just going to be heavy as hell. That's just not coming. There's no way that is coming from anywhere and not outside of the United States. Right? Maybe there was a sub, close to, they were at the beach. Maybe there's a sub or a ship that pulled in, launched some of these. It's possible. But I don't know, man. So he ends up going home. He lies to everybody, says he didn't see anybody, got lost, yada, yada, yada. But he says that this paper, which ended up saying that this is Death to America, and on the back it says that we have explosives that have never been seen before, and we want the surrender of your land, right? So Clay and Amanda like, we're getting the F out. Right. So they get their family, they pack up. Ruth here is trying to George tries to convince him not to leave, right? But Ruth is like, just let him go, right?
Yeah.
So they leave, and Rose here ends up hearing some sirens. She's the only one that can hear the sirens. Once everybody stops talking, they finally can hear the sirens as well. But she hears sirens. And then they come up across a scene where there's a bunch of white Teslas crashed. First thing I noticed was that there was no license plates on these Teslas.
Yeah.
I saw that from the movie. What do you think about, well, first things first, what do you think about the Teslas being here all crashed up? Do you think that Elon Musk signed off on this?
I think he did, man. More publicity. But, it's one of those things where it could be bad publicity.
Well, I mean, don't you think that, or not don't you think, but right now, Elon Musk isn't, I guess, a fan favorite when it comes to those that follow politically left. He allowed former President Donald Trump back on Twitter and Alex Jones back on Twitter or X, and he's been taking a lot of heat from those that follow the political left. Do you think this is a shot at him?
Maybe. I mean, but Tony a certain color, yeah, man. They've been they were trying to get it, Brian Koberger's color.
Only the white ones. Yeah, that's true. It's only the white one. There's no other of the other Teslas that are crashing.
You know why? Because they're the cheapest ones they can buy. That's why.
Nah, dude, I think it's a race thing, bro. They're just
I know. White is also the cheapest color you can buy in most vehicles. That's why
it's white, black, and gray, bro. Because they're the most common colors. Go look in the street. You'll see cars that are either white, black, or gray. That's the most common color. Very rare that you'll see one.
90% white.
I got a white truck because it was cheaper. So she sees that this was a fully self-driving vehicle, and she realizes that they were all brand new and that they all crashed there by themselves. She basically hurries her husband back in the car because he got out, and all of these white Teslas are coming at them. I mean, I'm gonna move this around. There you go. And they kind of swerve in and around them to get out of the way of the Teslas. And then the camera zooms up and you kind of get your first glimpse of what's going on. And what you see is that a lot of cars here are piling up on the exits to the city and entrance into the city, because the city's back over here, right? So they're trying to isolate, from what I understand, if this is a program thing where they're programming these cars to crash into each other in this area, it's to isolate the people that are in that area. Does that make sense to you, Blue?
Yeah. They're trying to control the roadways where you can't get out of the car. You have to either walk. And what kind of American knows their way around by walking without a map?
Yeah. So then you got these guys coming back. Knock on the door like, can we stay the night again? Now, what do you notice out of this picture? What anything pop out to you, Blue?
That it's dark inside and it's light outside again.
And that's a good notice. I didn't notice that, but I was thinking, look at where the dad is. Look where Clay's at. He's like in the far back behind everybody. I don't know, man. Just doesn't scream out manly man. You know what I'm saying? Or a man's man.
He's not the alpha. She is. So. The flood.
So then we get to part 4, the flood. And this is where things get real exciting. So it starts off with Ruth going into a locked room, which I'm assuming is her bedroom. Now, I had talked last time on Monday where I felt that maybe perhaps she was like some sort of like activist, you know what I'm saying? And very proud of her culture and her religion and her race, or those things. I don't know why I said religion. I meant race. And she has these pictures from back in the day on her wall, right? These historical pictures of African Americans. It's kind of hard to see, or maybe it's just my shades, but in the movie you can kind of see what's in the background. There it is. All right, historical pictures, things like that. Very proud of where she came from. No, she ends up grabbing a vape and she goes outside, and she goes to where Clay is filling up water in a tub, and she basically asks him if she wants to go smoke outside, and he decides to go out there, and it's a 420 vape. They begin to smoke, and long story short, he starts talking about all this random stuff. They just randomly talking, right? And then they get interrupted by a bunch of flamingos. You can see them in the background.
You forgot to mention she asked him if he slept with any of his students.
Oh yeah. He asked if he had slept with his students, and he's like, "Do I look like that kind of guy?" And she was just kind of being a little bit flirtatious with him, right?
Yeah, on purpose though.
Now, flamingos show up. Yeah, I didn't know what flamingos meant, right? But apparently, I searched it. It's like, what do flamingos mean? Flamingos in your yard. Now they're the plastic ones, but that's a swinger thing.
Yeah, that's what somebody said on the chat last week too. I saw.
Yeah, it's a swinger type of thing. Maybe indicating that repopulation of the earth is going to have to. It can't be just the same people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I got out of that. There's that flamingo, and at the same time, while this is going on, George and Amanda are having an intense conversation down inside while they're having a drink. And she starts having a conversation with him, and he asks her, like, why did you really come back? Oh, I think it's both.
Yeah, it's both.
But I think the flamingos was more like retro, like back in the day, like 90s.
Yeah.
It's now pineapples.
Yep. Upside down pineapples. I saw.
So she asks him, why'd you really come back? And he comes up with this story where he really tells her what happens. He goes, why I came back here involves something that happened to me a few years back. I won't say his name, but you would recognize it though. And she asks, is it a celebrity? And he goes, no, nothing like that. But in the business world, he's one of the biggest ones out there. He deals with mostly in defense contracting. I'm talking hush, top secret money from the Pentagon. And then he talks about one day he goes to a party and he's drinking with him, and they're having a good time. And his wife wants to leave, and he don't want to leave because he's having a good time with his friend. So his wife agrees to take a cab, and he says that he'll come home after. And then he talks about how eventually he starts in on how much he likes me and how he wishes he could invite me on this trip he's about to go on. Now, first and foremost, Blue, if you're drunk with a guy and he's telling you he likes you a lot and he wants to take you on this trip, like, where does your mind go to that?
I would say I'm okay right here. I'm just drinking up here.
You're not going to go on the trip? You're not going to go on the cruise?
Not with some stranger.
Well, it's not a stranger. It's his friend.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's a good friend. It has to be a good friend. A trusting friend that I can fall asleep around.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. So he goes, he wishes he could invite him on a trip, and she asks, what kind of trip is this, right? And then he goes, it's where the rest of the evil cabal that runs the world. So he goes, it's my annual meeting with the rest of the evil cabal that runs the world. And then yesterday before the symphony, right? So he says that, and he says that he's always, joking around about things. And he goes, if you knew who he was, if I told you his name, you would know why he would be joking around about those things. I wonder who he's really talking about. Who jokes around with the cabal stuff?
I don't know. Somebody, and it has to be somebody with defense
In the business
contracts
world.
and a lot of money.
Yeah.
Joe Biden.
It could be. It could
Hunter
be.
Biden.
Hunter Biden?
Yeah, there you go.
So he goes, then yesterday before the symphony, he calls me and tells me he wants me to move around some of his money. That he tells me he's going away for a while. And he says it's not just some money, it's a large amount of money, even for him. And then he tells him, oh yeah, you hanging with your evil cabal this weekend? And the guy ends up telling him no, he doesn't say anything, and he just says that take care of yourself. And he says, now this guy is the kind of guy that'll laugh at a cabal joke or whatever, even if it's a bad one. He goes, take care of yourself. So he says, when it comes to like the evil cabal, he's like, maybe the truth is more scarier than that. Maybe the scary part is that nobody's in control, and that the only thing you can get in this world is a heads up. So I started thinking about that, right? If all he got was a heads up, and you have all of these countries that are possibly in on this, why would they accept money from the United States a week or day, before the attack?
Because they got paid by somebody.
Yeah, but American money is not going to be worth crap if America goes down.
I don't know. You would have to see
saying?
who else is moving money.
Well, maybe, but why would anybody in the know, like another foreign? Because I'm assuming you're moving money into another foreign. You're taking your American dollars and putting it into, Chinese dollars or pesos or whatever you want to call them, right?
Some yin and yang.
Yin and yang, yeah. And why would they accept it if they knew that there was like some sort of upcoming issue? They would.
Because
Unless they didn't know.
Unless they didn't know, yeah. But it's easier to. They probably were transferring to exchange it. Mm-hmm. But you never know. Look what we tried to do to Russia in the beginning of the war.
I didn't do anything to Russia, Blue. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about up the people upstairs tried to make their money not count as much and try to crumble it, and they couldn't do it.
So I want to play you something for everybody as well. This is from the opening part of the pilot episode of the series Mr. Robot. Just kind of listen to what he says.
What I'm about to tell you is top secret. A conspiracy bigger than all of us. There's a powerful group of people out there that are secretly running the world. I'm talking about the guys no one knows about, the guys that are invisible. The top 1% of the top 1%, the guys that play God without permission.
What do you think about that? Like what he just said about his evil group of cabal that meet up every week. And we already know there is a connection between Mr. Robot and this movie. What does that tell you, Blue?
That there's some people up there that are playing God, like you said, man.
Yeah, there maybe is a cabal there. If you're looking for another crazy theory, look up something. I'm going to say this slowly because I don't want to get demonetized. Fall, like the what comes after summer of cabal is something maybe if you can find, go check it out. It's pretty crazy. It's intense. But he's saying that he thinks that no one is in control, right? That is, it's all make believe. And where can you watch that? It's going to be on Amazon Prime for sure. I know it's a USA series, so I'm assuming if you get the USA app, you probably can get it there as well. And so he goes, who might have the kind of access and the right kind of information, but the only thing that you can get is a heads up. Now, Amanda doesn't like this, right? So she gets all in her gets all upset. So I don't really like this. And he goes, well, I'm going to change your mind. He takes her downstairs to put on some music and dance, right? Elon Musk does have a defense contract. That's true. And she pulls out an album, right? And I had pulled up who it was. It's called Next, something Next. It's a pretty crazy song, man. If you go look up the lyrics to it, it's an interesting song. But they start dancing, and Blue's like, he feels that he can take them both out in a dancing competition. Isn't that correct, Blue?
I can, man. I told you this bum the other night at the bar wanted to dance battle me, and I did. And I think he won, but I was pretty drunk, so I let him win.
Yeah, you should have done the worm. So they're dancing, and they actually get kind of close. And you know how I mentioned earlier that I felt like there was some rockiness in her relationship with Clay, and he was like trying to say, "Hey, when you get back, let's." Right. And she wasn't, didn't really seem like she had any part of that. Yes, I think this is true. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not Blackstreet.
Doesn't she look like Elaine, though? Like when she's dancing right there from Elaine from Seinfeld? That's right. It's a little cheesy to me.
She could. I'm going to look it up who it was.
And some people might think that I'm joking about the dance battle at the bar, but I'm not. It really happened a couple weeks ago.
What was the song?
Oh man, it was a '90s theme song. It was at a '90s bar. Yeah, we're dancing like robots. That was at the end of the night. It was like almost 1:45 in the morning, and I probably already had I want to say about 15 drinks, maybe. No, I'm just joking. It was more like 10, more like 10 strong drinks.
Dang, dude. What were they?
The first drink of the night I started off with was a coffee beer. The second drink of the night was, I like all kinds of drinks, all kinds of beers, and when I see a different beer on tap, I'll try it. So the second beer was it was another weird one. It was a custom one. It was a pecan. It was a pecan, a Texas pecan beer. The second one. Mm-hmm. The third drink of the night, I think I had two of them. I had 2 cranberry vodkas. Then I had a green tea Jameson. And then I had a Modelo.
Dang, Blue, you had a lot. You had a lot. We get it.
I can keep going. That was only 2 bars and we hit 4.
Dang, dude. So I did find out what song it was. It was Too Close by Next is the song. And it's pretty crazy. I mean, the first line says, I wonder if she could tell I'm hard right now, is the first line of the song. Like, it's the chorus goes, baby, when we're grinding, I get so excited. I try, but I can't fight it.
You gotta take it real slow.
Plus, it's real slow. You're making it hard for.
That's a good song, man. That's a good oldie.
It is, man, but it has some very it's a very sexual song for 2 married people. What do you think, Blue? I know you're getting excited. I think you have it it's in your playlist, ain't it?
Yeah, it's in there, and it's a good song. I like the way he danced. He danced way better than Julia Roberts. Sorry, Julia. I mean, you did remind me of Elaine when she, we do the little kick in Seinfeld and stuff like that. So,
do you think that it was choreographed that way for her to purposely dance bad?
I think so.
I think so too. What do you think that says? Right, you're listening to an R&B song. It is, it's a an African American group, and earlier in this movie, she was, somewhat racist to a certain extent, or had some racial undertones. She basically said that she didn't think that they owned the house, and thought that maybe perhaps he was a handyman and his daughter was the help. So, I think that it was some sort of like, I guess, kind of like get at you for saying like, she likes the culture, she enjoys the music, but she can't stand the people. You get what I'm saying? What do you
Yeah.
think, Blue?
I mean, it kind of persuaded that a little bit, but I think and like in the beginning, she said she was just tired of people. Didn't say a specific kind, so. But in the
That's
movie, they
true.
made it seem that way.
That's true. So at this point, that noise comes back, right? There's that noise that was heard earlier on while they were, while the kids were out in the, out in the wilderness, and that noise came out again. And so this is when they all come back to bed. They all go to their separate rooms, and this is Ruth and her dad laying in bed, and she starts telling her dad that she thinks that Clay wants to have sex with her. She tells her dad that she caught the Clay's son, taking pictures of her while she was in her bathing suit, and that Amanda is, Amanda, and how she's been throughout this movie. They have not gone along, right? So she says trust should not be doled out easily to anyone, especially white people. Even Mom would agree with me on that. What do you think about that, Blue? Remember, this was produced by former President Barack Obama. Like, what do you think about something like that coming out of like a former president? It's movie.
I mean, who knows what part he wrote, right? But if his name's gonna be on there, I'm pretty sure he understands what can come out through the media, through the interpretations. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I felt like it's just weird. You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine like I don't know, George Bush coming out with a movie that had a lot of weird stuff that pointed out to some other stuff for specific race? You know what I'm saying? And pointing out everything and that they've done in their past, not necessarily stuff that has been done today, right?
Yeah.
Like Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke aren't bringing in slaves on ships through the harbor and on point in Center Point, right? They're not doing that. That was history. That was a long time ago.
That was
And
500 years ago, or 300 years ago, or whatever it is now.
But I think it's like there could be a second part to this where it's like, all right, they're showing how white settlers came and they took land, they took things by force, they have killed, they've done all these things, and maybe it's there to point out that y'all did it once, it's now the rest of the world's turn, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, this has happened for thousands of years. I mean, look at the Roman Empire with what they've conquered.
right.
The English, the Babylonian. They would conquer each other to take over their lands. They would try to build their kingdom bigger. It's been like that for thousands of years. I think now it's changed. We can't do that no more. We've been civilized. They can try to do that, but there's regulations. I mean, look at what happened. I want to say it was in Arizona, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in Arizona. There's this place in Arizona where the state had to step in to regulate these companies that were coming in from, I want to say it was either Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I think it was Saudi Arabia. they're buying these big old plots of land, and they were growing this alfalfa that's super like rich, and it takes a lot of water to grow it. So they were drying up the ecosystem for the local farmers, and they were just pumping out the river, and all these farmers' lands are going dry, and all their crops are dying because there was no regulations in that area. And what were we doing? We were growing all this alfalfa feed, and they would ship it back to their country because they can't grow it in their country. It's illegal, or they don't. I think it is illegal to grow there too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of regulations on where that can't happen, but
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And so here on this scene, the Clay and his family, they go sleep in bed together, and Amanda realizes that Archie's kind of warm. And the next day he wakes up with an issue. Now, real quick, you're gonna notice that the waves have now, it's kind of hard to see, but the waves have gone all the way to the roof in the bedroom. They were just above where the bed frame was, and then they were above the lamps right here. And now they're all the way to the roof. Right. And what ends up happening is old boy starts pulling out his teeth. And I think most of them end up coming out. It's pretty disgusting, but kind of cool at the same time. And now we get to the final part of the movie. The final part is called The Last One. Now, in this scene, when they woke up, Rose was missing. She was gone. But the attention was to Archie because his teeth were obviously falling out. And this is also when you see the painting in the back went from 4 to some to disorientation. Now you can't even understand what's going on there. It's just white and black, right? So he talks about going to his contractor's house, which is Danny, the guy that she saw at the convenience store earlier, he said that he's a bit of a prepper, and that he may have had some antibiotics. He thinks that the reason why old boy's teeth are falling out is probably Lyme disease from the tick. At that point, Clay comes in saying he can't find Rose. He looked all over the house. She's not there. So Ruth and Amanda decide that they're going to go look for Rose, while George and Clay take Archie to Danny's house to go find some medicine. So those two things are happening at the same time, right? So we're going to go down first, Rose and not Rose, I'm sorry. We're going to start off with Amanda and Ruth. What does this look like behind? Does that look like a butterfly to you?
It caught my eye, but I couldn't see it too well.
Why do you think there's a butterfly there with a bunch of different colors on it?
I don't know. If it is a butterfly, maybe it looks like an eye or something to me.
It could be. I thought it was like a butterfly, like this is the body going up and down, and this is the one wing. It's not open.
Yeah.
Or it could be, actually. I see something drawn on this side, but it's so dang dark. Yeah. I can't see. The scene was so dark. I thought maybe butterfly if it was change, but you're right. It could be an eye. It's got to do something. It has to be something here. But yeah, these two start getting into it. They have had this tension since the beginning. And this entire time it's been like, and I think this is where Amanda kind of comes to her senses, because she's like, my son is sick, this and that. And like everything's always about her, right? And her family. And then she finally tells us, like, you don't get it. Like, my mom's missing. I haven't seen her. We don't even know where she's at, if she's alive. You're staying in our house, stuff like that. And I think that's when she starts to realize how selfish she's been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then she tells her that, we F everything on this planet and over and think it'll be fine. So she comes to a realization of how people are in general, and how, like, kind of tying a bow on everything that we've seen, where there's things that are there, but people are oblivious to it, or they don't care, or they claim to not notice it, like this whole woke stuff that was going on with the ship and everything else. But basically saying that, you're not aware of the racial undertones of the things that surround you, right? And she goes, because we use paper straws and order free range, chicken, that they think that they're doing okay. But all of a sudden, a bunch of deer start running by, and they walk out. Amanda actually leaves Ruth there, and all these deer surround Ruth in front of that shed there. And then Amanda comes running, and then they both start screaming, and they scream the deer away. Big Blue, if you walked outside and you saw this, what are you doing, Blue?
Walking right back in.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's a good answer.
That reminds me of like when I used to work in a subdivision in Canyon Lake. People hand feed the deer there, like in their front yard. So you walk out of the house that you're working on, they're just staring at you. They're like domesticated pets at that point. I mean, I know in this movie they have a different meaning, but
I got this close to one deer one time, out in Colorado. It was in Florence, Colorado. I was staying there with a couple of coworkers of mine. We went on a little company retreat. It was around my birthday, and brought some of my buddies with me. And in the morning, I went outside, and we're up, I want to say probably about maybe 9,000-10,000 feet, somewhere around there, up on one of the mountains. And I go outside of the cabin, and there's this deer that just comes up to me, and it gets about that close, dude. It scared the crap out of me because it put its head down, and I was like, oh shit, this is how it happens. Hopefully nobody records this, because this is how I'm gonna end up on, going viral or something, getting attacked by a damn deer. And so I take out my camera, and I recorded the interaction. I took a step towards it, and when I took a step toward it, it took off. I have that video somewhere. In fact, I think we'll do a members only this weekend, and I'll pull up that video. I do have it. I know where it's at, and I'll show it on the members only. So little sneak peek into our lives for our members. If you're not a member, hit that join button. It's in the description.
Yeah, man.
We also do giveaways.
There's a lot of deer that you can have feed, even over there in the Austin Zoo.
Yeah,
it's like it's not an actual zoo. It's a wildlife preserve or whatever. They confiscate animals from people, and they host them at the Austin Zoo. And they have a little pen area where you can feed goats, but they got deer and axes in there too, so you can hand feed the deer and axes, and they just walk up to you and eat the food out of your hand.
Yeah,
just like the peacocks. The peacocks run around loose all over that zoo.
Interesting. I need to go check it out. But they see in the distance like bombs blowing up, so the city is under attack, right? All right. And it zooms up. There's quite a few bombs going off. And let's see, what else do we see in this picture? Looks like a helicopter or some sort right there. So something has the ability to fly. You have another aircraft right here.
Yeah.
And another one over here. So there was aircraft flying in the area. You can also hear like the sounds of gunfire and stuff like that from this image. So now we go back to George and Clay. They show up at Danny's house. Now, what do you notice from this image first? This is when they show up to Danny's. Anything stand out to you, Big Blue?
No, the flag. That's something that stands out to me. And his door's red, I guess. That's the only other thing.
Yeah. He's got a red door. That's true. He's got the American flag. It's got a camera up here, which means he doesn't trust anybody. Right. You have these pillars here, which are a sign of like the South. The South used to have those kind of pillars on their homes. It's white home, also kind of a representation of that as well. He's wearing some jeans. He's got a gun in his hand, shotgun. No soliciting sign in the background. This is something that would symbolize as basically like a Cowboys had like a normal Texan. You know what I mean? So and the only thing that's missing is the Texas flag and a we don't call 911 sign here. You know what I'm saying?
We call 911.
All right. And so they start talking. He starts telling him that his son, who's in this car back here, his teeth were falling out. Right. And he goes, "Oh, his teeth, huh?" He goes, "Well, that's got to do something with that noise." It's like it's not all that dissimilar to what happened in Cuba a while back. Remember when I told you about Cuba and that JFK thing?
Oh, the Cuba, but there was also when Obama was president. I want to say it was him. It was a few years ago. They were having those incidents in Cuba at the U.S. embassy where they were getting attacked supposedly by sonar, and the workers were getting headaches, and they were going, for like a week or two, they weren't even allowed to go into the building because everybody's getting sick.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I think he's actually referring to that incident because a lot of these incidents happen in real life.
Yes.
Right. So they use microwave weapons. It kind of produces some sort of radiation, and some people lost their teeth there. Okay, so it's a weapon that he said that the U.S. put out. So that tells us that this weapon it's and again, was that the same car? Remember, Blue? Look at those wheels that was parked next to her. Remember, I go, is that his car?
The other car is more blue. This is like black.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm gonna go back and look at it, Blue. But he says some people lost their teeth there, but that tells me that is a weapon from America. That's an American weapon. He even goes, maybe somebody got a hold of that technology. And then he goes, that he's been seeing this, that the Russians had moved out of Washington, the embassy, a week ago. And he says, you got to read more, deeper than page 1. That's a saying that's typically used, from the politically right, that past page 1 is where you find the real news. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, and so, and this is where he says, the Russians recalled their staff from Washington. Now they get all crazy because he says, all right, now get off my property. And he's like, no, we need the antibiotics for Clay's son. He's dying. He's sick. And he tells him basically, I'm a useless man. Can't do anything without technology. And he tells him, I'll give you $1,000 cash. If we can get some antibiotics. He goes and he gets $1,000 that George had gave him earlier for letting him stay at that place. And he hands it to him, says, hey, computers are down, things like that. Cash is probably going to be the only way of, with only form of money. There's no Apple Pay or those things. So he gives him $1,000 cash for the medication. And he goes, I guess an old-fashioned barter system was expected at some point. And, it's just cash. So it is what it is. But he talks, he shows him the paper. They show Danny the paper. And he says that he had a friend of his that before the phones went out, something similar happened on the opposite side of the world. I think this was in California, maybe. And he said, but those
West California.
But the pamphlets were in Korean or in Chinese or Mandarin. He didn't know which one, right? And another kind of dig to, in my opinion, of saying that he's ignorant to not know, what language it was.
No, on that part, he said that he thought it was Mandarin or Korean because when he looked at it, he's like, this guy did a couple of tours in Iraq. He would have known it was Arabic.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I think this one's in Arabic.
Yeah. And I think this is when, and this is kind of, they put it all together for me. And this is when I said, dude, everything made sense. I was right 100% of the way. he says that Danny says that, they've pissed off a few countries, along the way. Maybe a few of them got together, right? But they go and sit inside the car, and George starts having a conversation. He goes, it would have made more sense if we were on the brink of an all-out invasion, because he finally says he knows what it is. And he's like, but this, I didn't think we'd actually let something like this happen, because my primary client works in the defense sector. I spend a lot of time studying the cost-benefit analysis of military campaigns, a simple 3-stage maneuver that could topple a country's government from within. The first stage is isolation. We talked about those Tesla cars, and disable their communications and transport. The satellite radio was gone. And one thing that he had mentioned was, the satellite phone was gone, that if you have a clear view of the sky, the satellite phone should connect to it. That means the satellites are down. Right? It says, make the target as deaf and dumb and paralyzed as possible. Setting them up for the second stage. Synchronized chaos. Terrorize them with covert attacks and misinformation, which is like those papers. Overwhelm their defense capabilities, leaving their weapon systems vulnerable to extremists and their own military. Without a clear enemy or motive, people would start turning on each other. If done successfully, the third stage would happen on its own. Coup d'etat, a civil war. Right? But what got me was when he said, I didn't think we'd actually let something like this happen. It makes sense if it was an invasion from someone else. It would have made more sense if we were on the brink of an all-out invasion, but we're not. I think we would make this happen. So I think that what he's saying is America let this happen. America did this so they can kick off, World Without Borders. In the show, Mr. Robot, the goal is to have a reset, to reset all the debt. They want to reset, have a reset of wealth. That is the whole purpose of Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on here. It's the Great Reset, NWO, the New World Order. And the only way you do it is if you reset the whole thing. All right. You got to take the, cut the snake from the head off the snake, so to speak. Right. So let's go back. Now, then it goes to this image. And first thing that I noticed was, the red door. There's the bicycle that was missing from the house that they thought that Rose took. It says thorns, red door, thorns. What do you think that means?
I don't know. Roses in there. Roses have thorns.
There you go, buddy. There you go. That's what I'm thinking too. Every rose has a thorn. All right, so it shows her inside just divulging, not caring. She's not, she could have gone back and found her family and said, hey, check it out. This is where it's at. This is what we're doing. But she didn't. She decides to eat. She's just thinking about herself. Overindulging. Then she sees this hallway with these red walls. What did you think first and foremost when you saw this red wall? Did you think anything?
At first, I didn't. No, I just thought it was kind of weird that they're like. To me, it looks like she was gonna go to some kind of satanic room or something.
That's what I was thinking too, man. I was like, man, this is where they get that adrenocon or whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called, and I'm saying the wrong thing on purpose because I don't want to get demonetized for that either. But that's where they get the adrenocon from. Their innocent victims. But yeah, that's the first thing that went to my mind. They've talked about the cabal, things like that. I'm like, dude, this is just really insane. And then produced by the former president. I just thought it was crazy. And then what's this here? It says, hope begins in the dark. It's a reset, dude. I'm telling you, it's about a reset. It's about freaking reset. So she goes, she finds this big old door. this ends up being so. Danny had told those guys that the Thorns had basically had he had seen some plans and that they had a bunker and that they need to get to the bunker. Well, she found that bunker, right? I can't even read what that says. What does that say, Blue? Hold on, I'm gonna go back. Can you read that?
It's a COMMODUS, Commodus.
Commodus. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it has something to do with something. Let us know in the live chat if you know what that reference is to. So she goes in and it's an underground bunker, right? You got water. You have fake window with a video that looks like it's facing outside. You have American mugs. I don't know what that is, but it looks like a little fat chef.
Yeah.
What do you think that is? Right?
That's yes, a chef.
This is the one thing I found to be stupid. The lights didn't turn on till here. So, like, how are these plants alive without light? And this green. I mean, I know that the bottom one here don't look too great, but I mean, you would not have plants that look like this if they were in the dark until this moment. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I thought that was
they probably have their own light source, like right there on the right.
So there's some bunk beds, some workout equipment. This is to filter air in and out. And then you got this page here. So let's you know what? Let me get to the brighter one. I think I got a brighter one right here. So you have some Aunt Jemima syrup that's been canceled.
Uncle
Ben's. I don't know who that is. I can't read that. Cream of wheat. Some more Aunt Jemima. Can't see what that is.
That's the salt something.
There's this one's been canceled too, this orange stuff. And somewhere here, I saw a picture of it. There's a Trader Jose beer or something like that. So a lot of these things that have been canceled are in this bunker.
Cream of wheat can too, I think.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Blue? That they filled this with a lot of things that are no longer, that have been considered controversial.
That like, to me, it's saying that it's not that important.
Oh no, dude! I think that like everything in this show or in this movie has been like to show how, how effed up people are. They have, they don't even realize that what they have around them has something to do with racism, right? I think it's definitely put here on purpose. So then it goes to this image here. You have 6999.310. Some people say that upside down that's 666, but I don't know. And then it comes in with an emergency alert. It says White House and major cities are under attack by rogue armed forces. It doesn't say, international forces or Russian forces.
That thing that I was reading in the front, I was like, man, I wonder if that's like a meter or something. And then it says that there's high radiation. Maybe it's a radiation meter.
Maybe, but the rogue armed forces part. Now, if you remember that image where we were looking at the city being attacked, there was helicopters and planes in the sky. Don't you think that they would also be under the same issues that were causing those planes to dive out of the sky when he went to the Huxley's house?
I think so, but I don't know. Like, there's older planes that don't have any helicopters that don't have any like computers. Like, everything's not controlled by computer.
True. But why would they be attacking an American city like that. This doesn't say that this is under attack by foes or enemy forces. It says by rogue armed forces. Or rogue armed forces are our own guys.
Yeah.
Our own guys are doing this. Right? I don't know what the 96 on Ruth's shoulder mean. But if anybody does know, I'd like to know what that does mean. Oh, born in 96 makes her 27. There it is. There you go. Makes sense. Elevated radiation levels detected near multiple population centers. She talked about power plants. Do you think that's where the radiation is coming from? Because they attacked some power plants?
It can be, yeah. They blew them up. So it could be leaking power plants like Chernobyl.
Mm-hmm. Seek immediate shelter. And this was at Seek immediate shelter, emergency alert, 9/17/204. 10. I don't know if that's the time and date, but if it is, it doesn't make sense because it's not 2 a.m.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because Chernobyl, the reactions didn't happen right away to some people. Some people, yeah, their hair fell out, their teeth fell out, and then like after that, all the birth defects started happening to all the kids around Chernobyl
Mm-hmm.
from the radiation.
All right, let's see what's up here. You have Center Stage, Castaway, Casper, Casher, Capote,
They're
Kate.
alphabeticalized.
Can't buy me love.
Yeah.
Buffy, Bruce Almighty, Bruce Willis collection.
I was gonna say they're gonna have a movie with Julia Roberts in it.
Breach, Bridget Jones' Diary, Bring It On.
30 Best Friends.
I was just wondering if there was something that I don't know made these movies, I don't know, special or something. Everything's been put in here for a reason. You know what I mean? I wonder if these movies are put in here for a specific reason, or if there's like something that we're not seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the one where Joey speaks French. Hey, didn't Oh Boy speak French? Coup d'etat, Civil War. The one with Princess Consuela. That's when Consuela could be the lady that old boy left on the side of the road. Clay, the lady who's speaking Spanish.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
The one where Esla dies, and look, there's a plane in the background. Oh, girl's mom possibly died in a plane. The one with Rachel's going away party. And then the last one. I don't know about the going away party, but, well, they did have a party. A little bit of a get together, drinking, the whole 9 yards. So you think that could play something in here? You think that's on purpose?
Maybe.
What happened to Ross? Oh, we need to know what happened to Ross. Look at these buttons, man. When have you ever seen the stop button blue? You know what I mean? Like all these buttons are blue. I don't know. When did my remote? I don't remember seeing the stop button blue. It's always been like red. Things like that.
You see that? Most remotes have Netflix, Disney, and Amazon on it. That one's biased. It only has Netflix.
And then you have, for whatever reason, it wasn't popping up there for a second, but now it is. The ending shot. Blue tone over this young lady's face. And you said you didn't like this ending, right?
No, because I never knew if they made it back. And, it ended with her watching Friends and leaving her family behind, stranded, and not even telling them about the bunker.
Yeah. I think this is a symbolization of, this person, lack of emotions, lack of things, only cares about their, her life and what makes her happy, the simple things that make her happy.
She calls about self gratification or self gratification.
Right. Maybe possibly emotionless. One of the younger persons, right? You're looking at somebody that only cares about this show while the world around her is literally falling apart. I think that's a symbol of that. Now, let's go back to here. And this is Back to a Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. It says, in this society, emotions and individuality are conditioned out of children at a young age, and there are no lasting relationships. Everyone belongs to everyone else. Common world state dictum. Do you think that this is a representation, perhaps, of that in the making? You know, this is a young person liking of some of the things that they're wanting to take out. You know, all she cares about is this. And it also talks about what everybody else cares about. You know, you have oh boy, with the pictures, which kind of leads you to believe that people are addicted to that. You had the cigarettes early on. People are addicted to cigarettes. Medication, you know, when to go pay money and stuff like that. Addiction to medication, even though it was something that was needed. I think that there's little details here and there, but I think that at the end of this, it's not so much that that we don't know what happens. I think it worked, is what it's trying to say. The one world state worked because you have this kid who's acting in this manner based on, you know, what that book said. Make sense?
Yeah. It does.
Well, that's the end of that. What do you think, Blue? Do you think my theory is just completely off? Because it sounds like you do.
Nah, man. It's got a lot of hidden features in this movie. Everybody's going to have their theories on it. And we'll see what comes out, man. We'll see if we can compare notes to somebody else. Somebody else might do a review, and maybe we'll have them on here and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I know that there's a new movie that's coming out. I think it's like A24 or something like that. Civil War.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not excited about Civil War, obviously, but I'm excited about that movie. I think there's probably going to be, it sounds like there's going to be maybe some hidden messages and stuff like that in that one as well. But this was a complete breakdown of this movie, in my opinion. A reset is coming. Yeah, that's what everybody keeps saying. You know, I know that after watching this movie, I think gun sales probably went up a little bit. Bunker sales probably went up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
And the Friends series went up a little bit too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy movie, man. It was a scary movie for me because of, like, there was some real events that were brought up. You know, you're talking about the persons that were losing their teeth because of the radiation, microwave weapons that had occurred. You know, the fact that there was a love you bug that they talked about. I mean, what if that was what that love you bug was intended? It started off with, it was infecting people one by one until it eventually was opened up by somebody in defense or something, and it was going to get into their computers and try to take down their satellites. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. But I think that this is what this movie is about. This movie is about the total reset. This is about New World Order and why they're doing it.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Well, I think that's going to do it. Somebody asked if we could talk about a reset. I think we can do that. We can put a show together about that. When we first started our channel, it was more to deal with conspiracies and things like that. So, we can definitely put up something like that. You guys are interested in that?
Yeah, we'll have to put a poll and see what y'all want us to talk about. Go from there. Yeah. Now, one thing we were gonna have to talk on here one time, and they fell through, but we're gonna talk about the fires in Hawaii, because we think that has a big conspiracy in it too, and people were talking about it today. So maybe we'll talk about that one day. Have to get some
Yeah,
info.
I actually had a guy reach out to me who was part of the fire and rescue that went out there. Not the initial time, but it was like probably about maybe a week later or something like that after it started, trying to do some of the cleanup and the recovery and stuff. He had some interesting things to say. I'll see if I can get him to come back on the show. He was a little bit hesitant last time, so we'll see if we can get him on.
Yep.
These are our best type of shows. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we enjoy them too. I like digging deep into things and trying to find hidden messages and stuff. And I'm skeptical of everything. So as soon as I started watching this movie, I watched it with an open eye because one, I wasn't going to watch it, and two, the only reason I watched it was because Hyman told me that it talks about the cabal. And once I heard that, I was like, "Whoa, that's a conspiracy. That's a crazy conspiracy, needless to say." So I was like, if it's talking about that in this movie and it's produced by a former president, I might want to watch it and see what they got to say. And I'll tell you, it was terrifying.
Yeah, because the other movies that are produced by some of the other presidents, you might not want to watch, especially if they're on Epstein's Island.
Yeah, you're probably 100% there on that. Well, that's going to be a show for us. Blue, you got any final words for everybody?
I'm good, man. Y'all take care. Y'all be safe out there. Happy holidays if we don't see you by then. And just remember, be nice to others because they might not be having a good day.
100%. We will see you guys before Christmas. So we'll be back on Friday. In that show, we might be taking some phone calls. We'll be talking about the Idaho case. We'll be going back to that. So you don't want to miss it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring that notification bell. And yeah, be cool to your neighbors because you never know when the world goes chaos and they're the only people that are close enough for you to have to trust. So with that being said, we're out. Peace.